I get it every time I scroll through a wine fridge listing. The glossy photos make it look like the perfect addition to my kitchen, but the moment the unit shows up on the counter, the excitement can turn into disappointment. I've spent a few weeks watching how the Bodega 30-inch dual-zone cooler actually behaves in a real apartment, and I'm here to tell you whether it lives up to the hype or just adds another piece of metal you have to clean. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the biggest worry most of us have is, will this really keep my wine at the right temperature without turning my living room into a noisy kitchen? The Bodega model uses a low noise compressor, which, in my experience, stays well below the 40 decibel mark you hear on a quiet street. That means you can have it tucked under the countertop or even in an open-plan loft and still carry on a conversation without hearing a hum. It's a subtle but important win for anyone who wants a dedicated beverage station without sacrificing ambience. The dual-zone design is where the fridge shows its practical side. One side stays between 45F and 65F for whites and Ross, while the other holds a cooler 35F to 45F for reds and sparkling wines. I tested the separation by loading a case of chilled beers on the colder side and a handful of delicate Pinot Gris on the warmer side. After a full day, the temperature readings stayed within a few degrees of the set points, proving the insulation does its job. If you're the type who keeps both wine and craft beer on hand, that independent control is a real time saver. You won't need a separate mini fridge for your brews. Capacity is another point that trips people up. The spec sheet says 110 cans and 31 bottles, but the way the shelves are arranged matters more than the raw numbers. Bodega gives you adjustable steel racks that slide in and out, so you can line up taller bottles or stack shorter cans side by side. In practice, I found it easy to fit a standard 750 milliliters bottle upright on the wine side, but taller champagne bottles needed a little wiggle room, so you might have to sacrifice a few cans to make space. That trade-off is worth noting if you plan to store a lot of larger format bottles for celebrations. One practical strength that often gets glossed over is the built-in activated carbon filtration system. It's not a gimmick, it actually reduces odors that can seep into wine over time. I kept the door closed most of the day, but during a weekend when I stored a strong-smelling cheese in the fridge next to it, the wine side remained neutral, no off-notes in my tasting. That's a subtle benefit that can make a difference for serious collectors who notice even a hint of unwanted aroma. Now let's talk about what might make you think twice. The unit is freestanding in stainless steel, which looks sleek, but it also means you need a solid, level surface. In my small apartment, the floor has a slight give, and the fridge would wobble a bit until I placed a thin piece of plywood underneath. If you're looking for a unit that can be tucked into an existing cabinet without modification, you'll need to double-check the dimensions and make sure there's a little breathing room for ventilation. The back of the fridge needs at least a couple of inches of clearance, otherwise the compressor can overheat and the temperature will drift. Another hidden trade-off is the power draw. The compressor runs continuously at a low level to maintain the dual zones, which translates to a modest but constant energy use. For most households, this won't show up as a huge spike on the electric bill, but if you're trying to keep your home as green as possible, you might prefer a model that offers an eco mode or variable speed compressor. Bodega doesn't list an Energy Star rating, so you're left estimating based on typical usage. Who should consider buying this cooler? If you're a home entertainer who wants both wine and beer at the right temperature, love the idea of a single appliance that doesn't scream commercial, and you have a dedicated spot that can handle a 30-inch unit, the Bodega dual-zone fridge hits the sweet spot. It's also a good fit for small space dwellers who need a compact solution that still offers a respectable amount of storage without having to juggle a separate wine rack and beverage fridge. Who might want to skip it? If you're a collector with a massive cellar and need space for more than 30 bottles, or if you live in a studio where floor space is at a premium and you can't guarantee a level surface, you'll probably feel cramped. Likewise, if you're ultra-sensitive to any background noise, say, you run a podcast from your kitchen, the low noise claim is solid but not silent, there's still a faint whir that can be picked up on a sensitive microphone. Overall, the Bodega 30-inch dual-zone refrigerator delivers on the promises that matter.